Welcome to The Gorgeous Effect, the podcast that's about to rock your marketing world. I'm Julie Chanel, and with my co-founder, Cathy Olson, we're the masterminds behind Funnel Gorgeous and FG Funnels. We're about to drop some serious tea on how to create funnels that not only look amazing, but actually convert into customers. We'll chat mouth-watering offers, copy, design, and give you an inside look of some of our best and worst funnels. No smoke and mirrors, just real strategies that work from two ladies who have been around the funnel block. So grab your coffee or something stronger, we won't judge, and get ready to unleash the gorgeous effect on your business. It's time to show the world what you've got. Let's do this. Hey everyone, this is Julie and Cathy. Welcome back to another episode of The Gorgeous Effect. Today we want to discuss a great way to build your authority online, and that is through guest speaking. Whether or not it is on a summit or as a guest teacher in a group, these are two really powerful ways, slightly different than a podcast interview. I think I want to focus on guest teaching. This is something that both Cathy and I do a lot and has done tremendous amount for our reputations in the industry. So let's unpack this strategy.
I have a problem saying yes.
You have a problem saying yes? Meaning you say yes too much?
I say yes to everything. Oh. And then when I'm doing it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to do another presentation. Wait, let me back up before I say this. So like I get asked to either usually go into a group, like let's say someone has a mastermind or they have like, some kind of group coaching or whatever. And they're like, hey, would you talk to our people? And so sometimes it's just as easy as like, I'm just going to interview you and pick your brain. They're going to ask questions about funnels, whatever. And it's just general. That's pretty easy. I don't have to do any prep. But when I get asked to speak like an online summit or actually do like a guest training in someone's course or something like that, that takes like a lot of bandwidth on my part because there's two things that are happening. Number one, I have to create a presentation because I don't necessarily, and I have some that are already created and stuff and I can do that, but they don't always like exactly fit like what they're looking for. And two, I have to think through what is the point of this for us? I have to make it worth our time. So like what if I'm pitching something, but then it's like, well, what's like longevity wise? What's the best thing to talk about? Like, what's our goal? And sometimes then there's the in-person stuff where I actually speak on stages. And I sometimes I ask you even, I'm like, what should the thing what's the ROI, right? Of thinking through.
Yeah.
And then just like I say, I'm extroverted and introverted. So I'm extroverted when I say yes. And then the day of, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to put makeup on. Oh my gosh, I don't want to talk to these people. Oh my gosh, I want to introvert and like not actually go. And I'm like, why did I agree to this? But anyways, that's a whole other thing. But I just wanted to say though, I'm complaining about something that people wish they had this problem. So there's two parts of this of like, how do we prep, but also how do you even get available for these? Like, how are people even reaching out to me, right?
Exactly. I was going to say, to build the case for this, since you gave all the reasons why not to do it.
Obviously, this is just a like Cathy like therapy session of like
she's been on a bender of speaking, so she's tired. I'm like, okay, well, the case for this, I would say that some of my biggest breakout moments happened as a guest teacher. I was a guest teacher in the One Funnel Away challenge in ClickFunnels, which put me on the map in a way that I couldn't have, orchestrated myself. I also participated in the Pete Vargas Rise Up challenge, and that gave me a ton of visibility. And people ask, how did you get those? Honestly, I made them money. That's why. I made Russell a lot of money by affiliating. I made Pete Vargas a lot of money by affiliating. And that is what got their attention. When you want attention from bigger names with bigger audiences, if you make them money, they will start to pay attention to you. There are a couple ways you can make them money. Number one, you can become their client. You literally can buy your way into their program and become known. The second way you can do it is by affiliating and get on their radar that way. It almost never works to just cold pitch someone who is a big name because you need them more than they need you, right? So you have to prove your value first. That said, there are so many people who have programs, like you said, coaching programs, events, and they need experts. And one of the fastest ways to get asked is to be known in an expertise. So if you are struggling with a niche or you're refusing to create a niche or plant your flag, nobody's going to ask you because they don't know what you stand for. And that's one of the reasons why people get missed over because it's like, if you said to me, who's the number one person in Facebook ads right now? I'm going to think of three or four people. All of them are either on my team or clients that are paying me money, right? Those are the people that are going to pop into my head. So if you want to pop into somebody's head and be the go-to, you got to think like the person whose head you want to be inside.
It totally makes sense. And actually you made me realize too of like I haven't been on those big ones. So you're doing the big ones and you're doing them not as often. I'm doing all these little ones, which not they're not even like little, but they're not the big household names like you're saying. And so that's probably why I'm doing them more often because they're little ones and stuff. But I find that those audiences are so much more loyal and like diehards than maybe even the big names, right? Of like, oh, cool, whatever. But like when I get in those, like if it's like an interview or something and I'm talking to people, like people are so appreciative. They'll message me on social after and be like, that was amazing. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I have questions, like, or how, usually they'll be like, how can I hire you? And I'm like, it doesn't work that way, but it's fine. I mean, unless you have a lot of money, it's fine. But a lot of times it's creating more, almost more like relationship, like heft. Does that make sense
Yep.
in the little one? So I don't want people to totally like count those out or discount those. So you're saying the best way to do it is for like the kind of, let's say like they're like your parallel audiences, not like above you or below you, like they're parallel. What's the best way to position yourself to get in front
Yeah.
of more parallel audiences?
Well, yeah, the strategy I just gave now, those were bigger names. Like you have to
Mm-hmm.
prove that you have something valuable to bring to the table in order to get them to pay attention. For people who are on the same level as you in terms of audience size, this is just really about developing a relationship and making that person look good.
Mm-hmm.
If I invite you into my group to speak on something and my people get a lot of value out of it and it helps them be more successful, that ultimately looks good on the person who spoke and me, right? And
Yeah.
that's a great feeling. I think again, I think about all the people that we've like brought into Launch Gorgeous as guest speakers. They're all
Yeah.
private clients. I know their business as well. I trust them. I'm not worried that they're not going to deliver. And all of those people have invested in coaching. And so I think if you're not getting invites and you want them, my two pieces of advice are you known for something? Are you excellently known for something? And number two, are you paying to be in the rooms? At some point, you'll get big enough where you don't have to pay to be in the rooms and people will just reach out to you, which is kind of what you're talking about. You can also pitch yourself on summits and, as guest speakers and things like that. I think sometimes when people say, "Oh, I want to get paid to speak in a group," I always say, do it for free.
Yeah.
You're
Good
gonna
luck
make,
with that.
yeah, like I had a client who asked me to speak in her mastermind and there was no way I was going to charge her. And, I gave an hour of time. I created a presentation for her, created a special GPT for her people. And it's netted me $10,000 of business to date for 1 hour.
Yeah.
And I almost never charge for that because I recognize just how valuable it is to get in somebody else's sphere.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like with speaking too, right? There's people who get paid to speak, and then there's business owners who get paid in other ways, and they just happen to speak, and so
Yeah.
or teach, right? And so but the thing is, like, they will conceivably make a lot more money than they would ever pay you to kind of just come and be like an inspirational speaker, right? Or whatever, motivational speaker. Like, no one's
Right.
really like going and spending a lot of money with a motivational speaker. They're getting motivated and that's it. Like that is their product, right? Is their teaching or their training or whatever versus
Yep.
the business owners. One thing I was thinking about too is that like if you kind of want to start doing this, like do it on the other side. Start bringing people, like create a summit, like bring people in to speak in your courses. I think that some like when we've asked people to speak, I don't want to say speak, teach, I guess, inside of Launch Gorgeous, it's so incredibly valuable to our people, but how invaluable it is for them to get in front of all of our people and like, and it's almost like we're like collabing on this like a part of the course. And
Yeah,
so I think a really cool way would be to do this in reverse. Like you actually start having guest teachers in your courses, right? And actually bringing people in because that makes it's almost like borrows the trust either way. And if ever they're and you could even say, "Hey, I would love thank you so much for coming in and teaching. I would love to do the return the favor. Anytime you need someone teaching about, whatever, Facebook ads or copywriting, whatever, like, I would love to go and actually do a training for you guys, like, and just totally free. And it adds to your value. It's a win-win because they're going to be able to charge more or have more value packed in their course.
exactly. I really like speaking on summits too. I almost never refuse a summit unless you tell me I have to promote it. And I get the
Yeah, that's a
strategy.
big one.
I get the strategy of why you insist that people promote your summits. I totally understand it. If I were to host a summit, and I have hosted summits, I don't make it mandatory just because I sometimes I think, well, I'd love to participate, but I can't promote it. And so my executive assistant knows this, that if anyone asks me to be on a summit, the answer is yes, unless I'm on the hook to promote it, in which case I have to turn it down.
Yeah, because I think, yeah, on the hook is different than voluntary. Like sometimes I really do want to promote it. And there's also like a lot of times they'll have affiliates and stuff like that where you can actually
Right.
make money from affiliate sales. But like there's very few times when I'm like, oh, I really need to say something about this. Like, so I spoke on a design summit a couple months ago and I was like really proud to be chosen on the design summit because it was like some of the best, well, not some of the best graphic designers that are like in
Yeah.
not only in history, there's like some OGs of that I learned about in college that were on the
Ah,
summit, but also just like, very famous like online graphic designers that are doing some amazing content and stuff. And I was like so proud to be on. So like I was like screaming it from the rooftops because I was like I
yep.
wanted and I didn't have to. They didn't make me, but I was like dude, done. Like I'm so excited and I
Yeah.
really like, made sure I taught something really good and did a good job and like whatever. And so like I love that it wasn't expected and they didn't need me to, but I loved it so much. So it's not that we won't promote something if it makes sense to our audience and totally fits in, and we'll put in some blurbs, in our newsletter and stuff like that. So it's not, but having to do it is a different thing, If it
Yeah.
doesn't make sense for your audience and you're just kind of there to provide value, then they shouldn't, really make you do it. So um, yeah,
So true.
that's an interesting way to kind of put that but you also have to protect your audience. There's a reason you say that is because if you had no audience then that wouldn't be a problem. You'd be like, cool, whatever, I'll shout it from the rooftop.
Yeah,
I'll
exactly.
shout it from my little baby rooftop I got going on here. But when you do have a big audience, it's more important that you're staying within. It doesn't feel like you're constantly promoting all these weird offers.
Right. Yeah. That is something I've always been pretty tight about, just choosing what to share and what not to share. I will say if people ask me to come speak at their event and it's a big event, I will promote the event. That's a much bigger, there's really nothing that translates quite as well as in-person speaking if in terms of establishing authority. If you're on a literal stage in person, that's sort of chef's kiss.
That's actually
So
really what's interesting to me is I've done a few speaking engagements this year, and some of the speakers would just be in and out. Like they would come in like that day, like with their luggage, and they would speak and they'd be there for a few hours and they would leave. And I'm like, you guys are missing like
yeah,
it almost all happens after you speak. Like or maybe even a little bit before too, but like the relationships and the ROI that I've gotten have always been in these little side conversations later. And so I really feel like if you are going to go to an event, like go to the event. Like actually show up. And I get it if you have life stuff and whatever, and that's the best you can do, totally fine. But I think you're missing, just understand that you're not going to get all the ROI that you're going to get if you actually stay and talk to people afterward and answer their questions. Like one of the events we went to, I told people, hey, come to this. We're doing like a master class and whatever on, with FG funnels. And like, I actually spoke to them after the talk and they were like, hey, and I'm like, well, are you coming to the class? And they're like, yeah, no, you need to come to the class. And then it was like, we had like, I don't know, something like 20 of them to come to the class. And it
Yeah.
was not even that big of an event. So it's like if I weren't have been there to be like, no, like you need to do that. Like it's almost like they needed that human nudge, like,
Yeah.
and it worked really, really well. So just something to say
Well,
about in
just,
person.
I also think that sometimes the small little groups, like I remember going to speak at a mastermind, there were like 8 women in it, and one of them have has been my client for like 2.5 years now. Don't discard even like the small teaching opportunities. And if you're looking for stages and you're looking to get promoted, I do want to give a shout out. She is a pillar of FG, in the community. Her name is Aurora Gregory. She has Speaker Brand Academy. Highly recommend it. She talks a lot about how to get on stages and, get your niche right, get your flag right, be known for something, be known for it excellently, and dig your well, make yourself valuable to people. I mean, that's the biggest thing. And then eventually you'll get to the point where you get so many invites that you have Cathy's problem, which is like, oh my gosh, I said yes, 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 and now I have to actually perform. Honestly, building slide presentations is probably the most difficult part of it, right?
Yeah, well, thankfully we have our production designer that basically like I just do it in black and white now, and they can do it and just kind of
Yeah,
he can style it and stuff and make it pretty. That makes it much easier than
I
having to
know.
do it myself. But again, like I said, once you do have that, you're like, okay, well, what do I actually want to promote? How does this fit in with what I'm teaching? Like, what do they want me to teach? Sometimes they have no idea, and they'd be like, what do you want to teach? And I'll be like, what do I have to promote? Okay, well, then that's what I'm going to teach.
Yeah.
And so I can easily reverse engineer it. So that kind of makes it. But now, since I've done so much of it this year, I have like some topics and I can be like, hey, I have one on this, I have one on this. And then I've had them just choose from it because I've created like, several different presentations. So at this point, it's getting a little easier because I can just reteach something I've already taught.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good problem to have that we kicked that off with me telling you what the good problem is to have. So now like we'll get you guys there. And also, having the authority website. We're doing Launch Gorgeous right now, authority
Absolutely.
website, and having that live on in the internet so that AI can start recommending you for that and finding you. And so that's another important piece we just kind of glossed over, but definitely having it in writing somewhere on the internet saying, I'm available to teach in your group on this topic and actually telling people that.
Yep, absolutely. It's a great strategy. It's great for relationship marketing. We'll give another plug for Selena Sue's book, Rich Relationships. Great book. If you are looking for a strategy to grow, this is one of the my most favorite ways to grow, and is actually a lot of the way I grew. And the nice thing is it takes time, but it doesn't take money as much as, maybe a fickle ad algorithm. So give it a shot. All right, everyone. Thanks for hanging with us. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. We're just getting started with this podcast, and we're so excited to have you on this journey with us. If you found value in today's episode, we'd be over the moon if you'd consider subscribing. It's like a virtual high five that keeps us going. And hey, if you're feeling extra gorgeous, leaving a review would mean the world to us. Your words not only make our day, but it also helps other amazing folks just like you find our show through your review. Lastly, if you know someone who could use a little sales pep talk, why not spread the love? Share this episode and let's grow this gorgeous community together.